What are three biggest challenges for online publishers today?
Well, one is of course prevalence of free content and how we understand the free content. And it's not just the free content, the understanding of the editorial side of the content, which is of course the preoccupation of most of the publishers, but also a challenge on the classifieds, especially the publishers with the newspapers. The US market, which is a great example of what happens when you have great player which decides to offer classified listings free of charge. I mean Craigslist of course. So it's one of the challenges. The other challenge of course lies with the advertising. And two sides of it. One is of course the performance of measuring performance of advertising. The focus today we have predominantly on cost per click advertising, performance advertising. And that is the area what basically turns off a lot of our users and readers. So as publishers we have to find ways to make advertising much more effective from that standpoint and much more relevant, which is another aspect of the same issue. How create ads and campaigns for our advertisers so they feel that they are relevant. So they talk to them and they talk about the topics they're interested in. Products, services. And the third one, I think it's becoming increasingly important, both in Europe and the United States, is a discussion about regulation of the internet space. So we're talking about the privacy, the copyright. Yes, very significant issues that are being right now discussed in Europe on the European Commission level and of course on the federal level in the United States. That can have tremendous consequences for the online publishers, especially in cost of doing business. Online is of course very competitive. On top, if you have regulations that force us as publishers to create additional safeguards, for instance, and spend a lot of money to do it, to comply with regulations, that might increase the cost of doing business in a significant way.
Agora, the biggest publisher in Poland, for a few years realized in filling niches online strategy. What is this strategy about?
Well, strategy is really about the trend that we see all over the internet, but really not only the internet. I mean, I think the internet is just becoming is a very fast medium. But the same trend is both in the traditional media and internet, and this is a trend of fragmentation of the media space. Of course, between the media channels, but within as well. Good example, of course, is television, where you have multiple thematic channels. The same thing happens in internet, but much faster. So Agora, as a publisher, came to the internet space a little bit late in comparison to the pure online competitors in Poland. That will be Onet, Wirtualna Polska, which are the portals. And we had to find a strategy how to counteract. We couldn't really copy what they've been doing because they're doing the excellent job. We are not the technology company, or for the most part, portals are the technology company creating all kind of communication aggregation tools. We, of course, are not the technology company, so we had a little bit of catching up on the technology side to do. But the one great asset that we had was content and advertising. And advertising, of course, you can be viewed as a content. Just matching the content with the context of the product. So the only natural way for us was to create additional brands and products that target the specific niches of interest created by users. So that's really kind of a strategy that we searched for and found it, and I think we are quite successful with.
This year is the first year where INMA conference is co-organized with Online Publishing Association, which you represent. Why did you decide to cooperate?
Well, great question. I think first, OPA Europe is a organization of quality publishers. So that focus online. So in many ways, these are the same companies, but INMA, INMA is focusing really on a print side. OPA is focusing on the online side, but we share a very similar heritage in terms of the companies that create the content, that publish the content. So, as you know, there's a lot of discussion right now about sharing, combining, exchanging the ideas, integrating a lot of on the content side, on the advertising side, within those companies. So for us, both on OPA and INMA side, we thought it's natural to focus a little bit on that and exchange the ideas and look for the innovation by talking to both sides. They have a lot in common, and we want to see if this is an additional value we can bring in a conference like this, reaching out and creating a discussion between two sides of the business and seeing what all the companies are doing in this area to innovate for the future.